January 11, 1944, 10:42 a.m. 30,000 feet above central Germany. The sky is painfully clear, no clouds to hide behind, no weather to blame. Inside the cockpit of a Bf-109G, Oberleutnant Karl Weiss squints through his gun sight. Below him, the silver boxes of American bombers crawl forward in tight formation, B-17 flying fortresses, sunlight flashing off their wings like signal mirrors. He's seen this before, hundreds of times. And just like always, he's waiting for the escorts to turn back. They always do. Fuel limits, that's what saves Germany. The American fighters protect the bombers for a while, then peel away, forced to return to England. Once they're gone, the Luftwaffe moves in. Fast passes, head-on attacks, cannons ripping through aluminum and flesh. Karl checks his mirrors, spits of contrails, American fighters. But something feels wrong. They're not turning back. The fighters stay with the bombers as they cross the Rhine, as they pass Hanover, as they push deeper, far deeper into the Reich than any escort has a right to be. Karl tightens his jaw. "Mustangs," someone says over the radio, almost dismissive, almost bored. The P-51 Mustang. The Germans have seen it before. Sleek, fast, long nose, British design roots, American engine, a decent aircraft maybe, but nothing revolutionary, nothing to fear. That's what Berlin said. That's what the analysts said. That's what the veterans said. Just another escort fighter. And escorts don't win wars. Karl rolls his aircraft and dives toward the bomber stream, confident that once fuel runs low, the Americans will disappear like always. But this time, they don't. You can almost feel the shift before anyone admits it, a subtle change in the rhythm of the air war. The Mustangs do hug the bombers tightly like earlier escorts. They roam, they hunt, they sit above the formation, sunlight behind them, engines barely audible until they strike. They aren't reacting. They're waiting. A burst of .50 caliber fire streaks past Karl's canopy. Tracers snap by like angry insects. He brakes hard left, the G-forces crushing him into his seat. His engine screams in protest. Another Mustang flashes by, wings rocking casually, as if this is easy. This isn't how escorts behave. This is how predators behave. For years, the Luftwaffe ruled this airspace. Even as Germany lost pilots, fuel, aircraft, the advantage of distance remained. The Americans could reach Germany, but they couldn't stay. The P-47 Thunderbolt was powerful, but thirsty. The P-38 Lightning was fast, but complex and unreliable in European weather. Both turned back before the deepest targets. That window, those precious unprotected minutes, kept the German fighter arm alive. The Mustang closes that window. Quietly, without announcement. By the time anyone understands what's happening, it's already too late. Karl pulls up hard, trying to climb back toward the bomber formation. Smoke curls from somewhere behind him. Another 109 hit. A parachute blossoms, tiny and fragile against the vast blue. He hears screaming over the radio, a panicked voice, a call sign he recognizes. Then silence. The Mustangs don't chase recklessly. They don't get dragged into turning fights unless they choose to. They dive, strike, climb back into altitude like disciplined wolves. And they're not burning fuel the way earlier fighters did. Their range is unnatural. By noon, the bombers turn west. Mission complete. The Germans are battered but alive. The pattern says the danger should be over now. This is the moment Luftwaffe pilots live for, the return flight. Damaged bombers, tired gunners, escorts forced to turn back. Karl relaxes slightly, just slightly. Then he hears it. Mustangs above the field. Above the field. That's impossible. But as he descends toward his airbase, he sees them. High, circling, patient, engines purring. Waiting. Not protecting bombers. Waiting for him. For the wounded fighters. For the low-fuel aircraft. For the survivors trying to land. The realization hits like a physical blow. They followed us home. Carl slams the throttle forward, heart pounding. He drops his landing gear, then yanks it back up again as tracers rip across the airfield. A Mustang dives straight through the landing pattern, guns blazing. Hangars explode, fuel trucks burn. This isn't escort duty. This is execution. For the first time since the war began, the Luftwaffe has no safe space, not even above its own runways. The Mustangs climb away, casually, already looking for the next target. And somewhere deep inside Carl Weiss, a terrifying thought forms. If they can stay this long, if they can come this far, then the war in the air is already lost. But the full cost of that realization: the factories destroyed, the pilots killed on landing, the slow collapse of German air power. That hasn't happened yet. Not fully. Not today. But it's coming. And the Mustang will be there to make sure of it. The first thing Carl notices is the silence. Not the peaceful kind, the wrong kind. February 20th, 1944. Big week. Somewhere above Leipzig. For years, German pilots had learned to read the sky the way sailors read the sea. The distant thunder of engines, the glint of wings, the predictable rhythm of American raids, bombers in, fighters peel off, Luftwaffe strikes, survivors limp home. Today, the rhythm is gone. Carl levels his Bf-109 at 26,000 feet, scanning the horizon. His fuel gauge is already uncomfortable. Ammunition half spent. He's been up too long. And still, the Americans are here. Not in tight formation, not glued to the bombers like nervous guards. They're spread out. High cover, low cover, loose pairs, rotating patrols. A net. You can almost feel it closing. Below him, the bomber stream is breaking apart. Flak bursts punch black holes into the sky. A fortress peels away, trailing smoke, its formation shredded. This should be the moment. Carl pushes his nose down, lining up a head-on pass. One clean burst, in and out, that's how you survive. Then his warning light flickers. He's being hunted. A shadow slides across his canopy, smooth, confident. A P-51 drops in behind him, perfectly placed. No frantic corrections, no wasted motion. Just inevitability. Carl breaks right. The Mustang stays with him. He dives. The Mustang dives faster. He pulls vertical, hopping the American will stall. The Mustang doesn't. Its engine, deep, controlled, relentless, keeps pulling. That's when Carl understands the difference. This isn't a short-legged escort fighter pushed to its limit. This aircraft was designed to be here. German intelligence had read the reports months ago. Long range, efficient engine, drop tanks. They dismissed them. Every fighter looks impressive on paper. Every new enemy machine gets exaggerated by frightened pilots. And besides, what did range matter really? Bombers were the real threat. Fighters were just the guards. No one planned for guards who never went home. The radio is chaos now. 2 Mustangs at 12 o'clock. I'm hit engine. Where are our reserves? There are no reserves. The Luftwaffe had built its entire defensive doctrine around interception, not endurance. Short, violent engagements, maximum damage, then land, refuel, rearm, repeat. But the Mustangs stay overhead hour after hour, forcing German fighters to scramble again and again, burning precious fuel, wearing down engines and men. By mid-morning, pilots are landing on fumes, if they land at all. And the Americans know it. They're not chasing glory anymore. They're chasing exhaustion. Carl limps toward his airfield, the engine temperature climbing dangerously. The runway comes into view, scarred and smoking from earlier attacks. He lowers his gear. Then the radio crackles. Mustang's inbound low. Carl doesn't even swear. There's no energy left for anger. He shoves the throttle forward, aborting the landing. His aircraft barely responds. Above the field, P-51 slash through the pattern like sharks through shallow water. 109 explodes just meters above the runway. Another cartwheels into a hangar. This is new. This is unforgivable. Airfields were sanctuaries, final refuge, the one place a pilot could breathe. Not anymore. Across Germany, the same scene repeats. Berlin, Schweinfurt, Regensburg, Brunswick. Mustangs circling patiently while bombers come and go, waiting for fighters to rise, waiting for them to fall back down. The Americans aren't just escorting bombers. They're erasing the Luftwaffe's ability to exist. Every destroyed aircraft on the ground saves 10 bombers in the future. Every dead pilot can't be replaced. Training takes years. Fuel is scarce. Time is running out. The math is brutal. And it favors the Mustang. Carl finally gets down, rolling to a stop near the end of the runway. His hands are shaking. Sweat soaks his flight suit despite the cold. He sits there, engine ticking, listening to distant gunfire. For the first time in his career, he doesn't feel like a defender. He feels like prey. And somewhere over the clouds, the Mustangs are still there, circling, waiting, unhurried. Because they know something the Luftwaffe is only just beginning to understand. Air superiority isn't about winning battles. It's about never letting the enemy fight on equal terms again. And the next phase of this war, the one that will finish what today has started, is already forming in the minds of American commanders. A strategy that doesn't just defeat German pilots, but breaks them. March 6, 1944, late afternoon. Western Germany. The raid is already over. That's what makes it worse. The bombers are gone, fatting west toward the North Sea. The contrails thin. The sky should be emptying now. This is when the survivors count themselves lucky. But the sky isn't empty. High above the airfields, tiny silver specks drift in lazy circles. Engines throttled back, fuel still to burn. P-51 Mustangs. They're not escorting anything. They're waiting. Carl Weiss climbs again despite the ache in his shoulders and the warning voice in his head. Orders are orders. Scramble. Intercept. Protect what's left. He pushes his 109 upward, climbing through ragged cloud. The engine protests. The aircraft feels tired. Metal fatigue, rushed maintenance, patched bullet holes beneath fresh paint. When he breaks through, the Mustangs are already there. Not diving. Not charging. Just watching. You can almost feel their confidence. They don't need to hurry. Time is on their side. A pair peels off, dropping toward Carl's airfield. Another pair slides behind him, matching his climb without effort. This isn't combat. This is containment. The Luftwaffe had always fought offensively, even on defense. Aggression was doctrine. Momentum was survival. But how do you attack an enemy who refuses to engage on your terms? The Mustangs won't chase into flak. They won't get dragged low unless it suits them. They hold altitude like a bank account, spending only when the return is guaranteed. Carl tries a feint, rolls left, then right. The American behind him doesn't bite. Instead, another Mustang slides into position, cutting off his escape. Two fighters, perfect spacing, perfect discipline. They've practiced this. A burst of .50 caliber fire flashes past Carl's wing, not a kill shot. A warning. They're hurting him. Down. Toward the field. toward the danger. Carl's mouth goes dry. His fuel gauge is now a threat, not a number. He can't stay up here forever, but landing means running a gauntlet. Below the airfield is chaos, craters, burning wrecks, men scattering for cover. The Mustangs don't dive all at once. They take turns. One attacks while the other covers, then they switch. Relentless, professional, cruel in its efficiency. Across Germany, Luftwaffe pilots begin to talk, quietly, bitterly, about Mustangs hovering over bases, about friends killed with their wheels down, about engines cut to idle, pretending to be dead just to avoid being spotted, about the humiliation. Fighter pilots aren't supposed to feel hunted. They're supposed to be feared. Carl makes his decision. He drops his gear and commits. The runway rushes up, pocked and uneven. Tracers rake the concrete. A Mustang screams past his canopy, so close he can see the pilot's goggles. Carl slams down hard, tires screeching. He skids, barely keeps it straight. Another aircraft behind him isn't so lucky. It explodes in a ball of fire, debris tumbling across the field. Carl cuts his engine and jumps from the cockpit, sprinting for a revetment as machine gun fire walks across the tarmac. Only when the sound fades does he stop. Breathing. Alive. The cost becomes clear within weeks. The Luftwaffe isn't losing dogfights anymore. It's losing pilots. Veterans, instructors, men who survived Poland, France, Britain, Russia. Gone. Replaced by boys with barely 20 hours on type, no fuel to train, no time to learn. Meanwhile, the Americans rotate pilots home, rested, replaced, improved. The imbalance grows wider every day. German command finally understands the truth they dismissed months earlier. The Mustang didn't just extend range. It extended presence. It turned the sky over Germany into hostile territory, 24 hours a day. Factories can be rebuilt. Aircraft can be produced. But experienced pilots, once they're gone forever. And the Mustangs know it. They circle patiently, engines humming, waiting for the next scramble, waiting for the next mistake, waiting for the Luftwaffe to come up one last time. And soon, very soon, there won't be anyone left to answer. April 1944. The sky over Germany feels different now. Not louder, not busier. Quieter. That should be a relief. It is. Carl Weiss stands near the edge of the airfield, helmet tucked under his arm, watching a lone Bf-109 struggle into the air. The pilot is young, too young. His takeoff is sloppy, tail wagging as he fights the rudder. Carl doesn't criticize. There's no point. This is what's left. The experienced men are gone, dead, wounded, captured, burned in cockpits with their landing gear down. What remains is desperation, thinly disguised as resistance. When the scramble order comes, it's half-hearted. Fuel is rationed now. Flights are shorter. Ammunition loads reduced. Engines run past service limits because there are no replacements. Carl climbs again, knowing before he reaches altitude that the Mustangs will already be there. And they are. Always. This time, they don't even bother hiding in the sun. They come straight on, confident, aggressive, certain. The fight lasts seconds. A young pilot panics, breaks formation. A Mustang snaps onto him instantly. One burst, fire, parachute too late. Carl doesn't chase. He can't. He's outnumbered before the fight even begins. The Luftwaffe had once believed technology didn't matter as much as spirit, that skill and courage would always close the gap. But courage can't manufacture fuel. Skill can't extend range. And spirit can't replace men killed on landing. The Mustang doesn't just win engagements. It dictates them. By late spring, German pilots are ordered to avoid combat unless conditions are favorable. They laugh when they hear that. Conditions are never favorable anymore. The Americans choose when to fight, where to fight, and whether to fight at all. Air superiority, true air superiority, has been achieved. Not in a single battle, but in thousands of small, grinding moments where German pilots realized they were no longer in control. Karl lands one final time. Not because he's been shot, because there's nothing left to do. The Mustangs circle above, watching, waiting for someone else to make the mistake of climbing. No one does. The sky belongs to them now. And as Karl walks away from his aircraft, he understands something that will define the rest of the war. Germany didn't lose the air war when its planes were destroyed. It lost it when the Mustang followed them home and never left.